Hey guys, and welcome back to Schneid's 15. Today we got the King Quad in the shop. We're going to be doing a rear wheel bearing replacement. You can see, we're a bit wobbly. When I first got this ATV, the far side was gone. I got a kit for both sides. So I only replaced the one side because the other side was alright. So in my mind it's not going that far, so I'll wait until the other one goes and I get that much more life out of this bearing. I could have done them both, but I was in a bit of a hurry. Anyways, let's get to replacing it. I got an all balls kit. The kit number is 251299. That's it there. It'll fit the LT 4-wheel drive 250 quad runner from 88 to 98. LTF 250 two-wheel drive 88 to 01, LT 250 four-wheel drive quad runner 99 to 02, 300 King Quad 99 to 02, and LTF four-wheel drive X King Quad 300 91 to 98, and that's what both of mine are, is the four-wheel drive X. Anyways, this will fit basically, as far as I understand it, it'll fit all your King Quads and your quad runners of pretty well all years. So it comes with your all balls sticker, which I'm not going to stick on. If somebody wants that, they can have it. I probably got about 20 of them. Comes with 2 seals and 2 bearings. So let's get to her. Alright, so we're doing our left rear. The right rear is going to be a little bit of a different process because you have your brakes in there. So first step, we'll take off of our dust cap here. That'll expose us to a cotter key and a cotter pin and a castellated nut. We'll pull that off. Next, I'm just going to use these channel locks I got here. They're not on tight, these things. If you're not using them, be a 22 millimeter, I believe. Pull off your castellated nut, and you're gonna have a washer behind it. That washer only goes on one way, so you can see there's a smooth side to it and a not so smooth side for this to go on. So you want the rim of it to go towards your rim, and then that's what pops in and holds your dust cap on. So now with that off, you're gonna have one more washer behind there, and then we can just take our wheel. Should slide off there easy. We're gonna give it a little bit of a pry here. So if everything's in fine and dandy shape, you should be able to grab your wheel and pull it off your whole hub without taking your wheel off. Mine's not. We're gonna have to pull this or give it some hits or something. So we'll take our 14 mil and pull off all 5 of our wheel studs, or our wheel nuts. There we go, we're down to our hub. Alright, so we're a little seized in there. So I just started hitting it with a hammer. You can get a puller on here. I don't have one that'll go that wide, so it's coming out evenly. That's why I'm only hitting it on one side. There we go. We got our whole assembly. Those bearings were toast. Alright, so we are off. As you can see, we got a seal on the outside, then there's a bearing, then there's a spacer, and there's another bearing in there. This bearing should have stayed in there in the seal, and all this should have slid out in between, but that's how it came out when it was seized. So we'll start tearing everything apart and showing you what to do. So before we proceed, I'm just going to bang this off camera, get these bearing off of our shaft here, and then we'll proceed to the next step. Yours shouldn't come out this way, but it might. Alright, so now that we have, I cleaned up my hub here, I got the race off of there finally. Bearing came out in pieces. It was toast. Anyways, next we got to remove our shock, which is a 14mm bolt here. Just remove the bottom one. Back here, you got another 14mm bolt, and then up front here, right behind your wheel well, you got a 14mm bolt. So we'll take those out, and then your swing arm will come off. There we are. Alright, so now with our swing arm off, our bearing here goes out this way. So, if you have a press, use one. If you don't, take a chisel and a hammer, and we're just going to hit it, and it'll hit that and the seal out the bottom of the tube. Alright guys, so we're out there. You can see right through there. It's pretty gungy in there. So I'm going to take my drill, my wire brush, and just clean up in there a little bit. And then we're going to grease this surface right here. And we're going to grease the surface back in there, or oil it, whatever, just to make it easy for when we go to put our bearing in. Alright guys, so now that we have everything cleaned up in here, we got the bearings and races out and everything, we're going to take our bearings. So both bearings that you get are identical. So we're going to do the middle one first. So that's the one on the inside of the tube on this end. Again, if you have access to a press, use it. If not, get that bearing in there the best you can. You're going to slide it down in the hole, and that's the purpose of the grease, obviously. To aid in the install. I have a long punch that I use. Line it up, try and hit on both rims of the seal so you're not damaging the actual rubber seal in there, and pound it down in until it hits the ridge in there. Alright, so I got a little ahead of you guys there, and I put the outer bearing in too. Suzuki actually specifies that you do the outer bearing and then flip it over and put your collar in, and then the next bearing, and they say to use their special tools, but just make sure that you put that collar in the middle, guys, that we removed. You can see it in here. I can move it. It says in the manual that you install each bearing, and then make sure that the bearings aren't touching that collar. I got both bearings in tight against like the inner the ridge there where you pound it against, and this this collar is still loose. I don't really see a point for that collar, because if it's not tightened against your bearings, it's not going to give you extra support. So it's really puzzling me a little bit there. I have everything clean, like it's not like it should be tight. It actually says in the manual that you want that loose to aid in install to put your axle through and your hub back on. Anyways, that's what it says for the specs. So we're ready for seals. So flip it over. We got two different types of seals, guys. So there's one, I'll show you them right here. There's one that has a little ridge on it, and one that does not have a ridge. So, no ridge, and this one has a ridge right here with a spring on it, right there. And that one does not, right there. So we're going to take the one with the spring on it, put that outwards. That goes to your inner bearing. It just slides down in there. Suzuki says to grease that up. Do whatever you want to do. Slide that in there. So throw that one on your inside again. If you have a press or something you can use an old bearing on it to really push on that seal evenly so it doesn't damage it. Seems to be sliding in really easy, so we're going to slide in that until it touches the bearing race, and then do the outer one. Alright, so there's our outer seal installed. And I don't know if you can see it, but our inner seal is installed there too. We're ready to put the swing arm back on. So before we put our swing arm back on, I would recommend cleaning the splines. I just cleaned them there and I'm going to re-grease them. And I would recommend putting a bit of grease around here, guys, because that's where your oil seal runs. That'll just aid in the install and help it slide over better. Alright, so I just used the rest of the grease just on my shock and where the swing arm slides in, just to make it slide in a little bit easier. So yeah, I did notice that now that I put my seals in and I banged around in there a little bit more, it's just so my collar is actually, I can still move it fine and it's just touching. So that collar must touch the bearings. I figured that's why it was in there. I just didn't understand it before, but I pounded it until I heard a hard knock, like it was, and I felt the rim on each side, and those bearings were in there, so it's kind of puzzling me that that thing is just so touching. It's just so snug in there. But Suzuki says that you want it loose. I'm thinking it's for install because everything's going to get crushed together, or not crushed together, sandwiched together when you put your axle nut on, and tighten it up. But anyways, we'll swap this back on. Alright guys, so now we have our swing arm installed, our axle shaft is through. To prevent happening what happened to me with the bearing sticking, we're gonna shove some red and tacky grease around here, or whatever grease you got. Won't hurt to put a bit in there on the splines, and again, go around the edge here because this will lubricate where your seal's gonna go. And hopefully we won't have that issue as before. Now that we have that on there, we can slide over our splines here, get them lined up, and then, this is the tricky part, is getting it through the bearing, through the collar, and through the other bearing. Might take a little bit of fidgeting around here, but we'll see how long it takes. So after a bunch of hammering and stuff, guys, and twisting it and getting it in, I finally got to go through there. It all of a sudden just popped and went through very nicely. My suggestion is that you could put this hub onto here, your swing arm, install it, and then just slide your axle through. It might be easier because then the axle won't interfere when you're installing. That's just what I did. So anyways, throw your washer on there, then you're ready for this big washer that holds your dust cap. Make sure that the lip goes towards the inside like I said before. Put our castellated nut on and tighten it up. I'll see if there's a spec here for you guys right now, and then we're done. Alright, so our rear hub nut is actually a 30 millimeter. The torque for that is 61.5 foot-pounds to 83. We're gonna just go at 70 here. There's 70. And we're just so past one of our little slotted parts in the castellated nut. So I'm just gonna back it off to there. I'm not gonna go any tighter because we'll never hit the next one. So there we are. We're ready to put our cotter key back through here, or cotter pin. There we go. We are ready for our wheel again. Last step, take your dust cover, kind of manipulate it a bit, and you're on. Now we got one nice tight wheel on there. As always guys, thanks for watching, and please give the channel a like and a subscribe. If my videos interest you, please click on my channel and check out my other videos.